Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and your alarm doesn't go off. Not because you forgot to set it, not because it's the weekend, but because you no longer need it. Because while you were sleeping, money was moving. Accounts were growing. Rent checks were depositing. Dividends were compounding. And by the time your eyes opened, you had already made more money than most people make before noon. That is not a fantasy. That is a financial level. A specific, measurable, achievable level that has a name, a number, and a roadmap. But here is what nobody tells you about financial freedom. It is not a single destination. It is not a number you hit and suddenly everything changes. It is a ladder. 7 distinct levels, each one representing a fundamentally different relationship with money, time, work, and life. Most people are stuck on level 1, not because they are not smart enough or not working hard enough, but because nobody ever showed them the full ladder. Nobody ever told them that level 2 exists. That level 3 is closer than they think. That the distance between where they are and where they want to be is not measured in luck. It is measured in decisions. This video is the full ladder, from the paycheck prisoner who cannot miss a single Friday deposit, to the person whose money works so hard, so consistently, and so independently that work itself becomes entirely optional. 7 levels, every number, every mindset shift, every decision that separates each one. Let's build your map. Level 0, financial imprisonment. Before we talk about freedom, we need to talk about its opposite. Level 0 is not just being broke. Being broke is a temporary condition. Level 0 is a system, a pattern, a cycle that regenerates itself every 30 days, regardless of how hard you work or how much you earn. Welcome to financial imprisonment. Here is what it looks like from the inside. Your paycheck arrives, and before it lands, it is already gone, not spent on luxuries, not wasted on frivolous things. Gone on the infrastructure of survival, rent, utilities, car payment, insurance, phone bill, minimum payments on 3 credit cards that have been carrying a balance for 2 years. By the time the direct deposit clears, you have approximately $40 to $200 remaining. This is your life for the next 2 weeks. You are not living paycheck to paycheck. You are living paycheck to 3 days before paycheck. The psychological experience of level 0 is one of the most studied phenomena in behavioral economics. It is called scarcity mindset, and it does something specific and measurable to the human brain. When financial resources are critically constrained, the brain enters a state of cognitive tunneling. It hyperfocuses on the immediate threat, the rent, the bill, the overdraft, at the direct expense of long-term planning, creative thinking, and strategic decision-making. The very mental capabilities you need to escape level 0 are systematically suppressed by the conditions of level 0. This is not weakness, this is neuroscience. But here is what makes level 0 a choice, and not just a circumstance, for many people. Level 0 is often maintained not by income, but by spending architecture. There are households earning $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 per year who are living at level 0. Because their spending has scaled to consume every dollar before it can be deployed as anything other than consumption. The credit card balance that never goes to 0. The car payment on a vehicle that costs more than it should. The subscriptions, the eating out, the small daily decisions that individually mean nothing and collectively mean everything. The exit from level 0 requires exactly one thing before anything else: a gap. A deliberate, protected, non-negotiable gap between what comes in and what goes out. Even if that gap is $20, even if it is 10, the gap is the seed of everything that follows. Without the gap, there is no level 1. Without level 1, there is no ladder. And without the ladder, there is no freedom. The cost of remaining at level 0 is not just financial, it is temporal. Every month spent at level 0 is a month of compounding that did not happen. A month of asset building that did not begin. A month of the most valuable resource you will ever own, time, spent in the service of a financial system that was never designed with your freedom in mind. Level 1, financial stability. Level 1 is where the bleeding stops, not where the winning begins, not where the freedom starts, but where the hemorrhage of financial chaos is finally, deliberately, methodically closed. Financial stability means exactly 4 things. No more, no less. First, your monthly expenses are consistently covered by your monthly income with money left over. Not hundreds of dollars, not thousands, but something, a margin, a gap. Second, you have an emergency fund, a real one. Not a credit card you can use in emergencies, not a plan to borrow from family. An actual liquid savings account containing between $1,000 and $3,000. Enough to handle the most common financial emergencies without going into debt. Third, you are not accumulating new consumer debt. You may still have existing debt, but the balance is not growing. The hole is no longer getting deeper. Fourth, you have a basic budget, not a complicated spreadsheet, not a color-coded financial planning system, a simple, honest accounting of what comes in, what goes out, and where the margin lives. That is level 1. Deceptively simple, genuinely transformative. Here is why level 1 matters more than any other level on this ladder. Because level 1 is the foundation. Every single thing that comes after it, the investments, the passive income, the financial freedom, is built on this foundation. A cracked foundation does not support a skyscraper. And a financial life built on instability, debt accumulation, and zero margin does not support wealth. Most people skip level 1. They try to jump directly from level 0 to investing. They open a Robinhood account while carrying $4,000 in credit card debt at 24% interest. They buy cryptocurrency while having no emergency fund. They try to build the skyscraper on sand, and then they wonder why it collapses. The psychological shift at level 1. For the first time, money stops being a source of constant emergency. The background noise of financial anxiety, the low-grade hum of not knowing if you will make it to the next paycheck, begins to quiet. This quiet is not comfort, it is clarity. And clarity is the most important cognitive resource in personal finance. With clarity, you can see further than this week. You can think about next month, next year, the next decade. Level 1 does not give you wealth. It gives you the mental space to pursue it. What level 1 requires? A budget that you actually follow. An automatic transfer to a savings account on payday before you can spend it. A commitment to not adding new consumer debt regardless of how appealing the monthly payment sounds. And a willingness to live slightly below your means for long enough that the margin becomes a habit rather than a sacrifice. The trap at level 1, mistaking stability for success. Level 1 feels dramatically better than level 0. The anxiety is lower. The emergencies are manageable. Life is functional. And for many people, functional is comfortable enough to stop. Do not stop here. Level 3, financial security. Level 3 is where most financially responsible Americans spend their entire lives and call it success. They are not wrong. By global standards, by historical standards, by any objective measure of human financial well-being, level 3 is a profound achievement. But it is not freedom, not yet. Financial security means your basic needs, housing, food, transportation, healthcare, utilities, could be covered indefinitely by your existing assets, even if you lost your income tomorrow. Read that again. Not covered by your salary, covered by your assets, the things you own, the accounts you have built, the investments that are generating returns. At level 3, your net worth has crossed a threshold, typically between $250,000 and $500,000, where, conservatively invested, it generates enough annual return to cover your essential living expenses for an indefinite period. This is not retirement. Your essential expenses are covered, but not your lifestyle expenses. You could survive without a paycheck. You could not necessarily thrive, but survive, genuinely, comfortably survive. Yes, what this level requires, years. Consistent, unglamorous, patient years of investing. Contributing to retirement accounts through market downturns that make every instinct in your body scream to stop. Resisting the lifestyle inflation that swallows the surplus at level 2. Making the same boring financial decisions month after month while your colleagues are buying boats and your peers are posting vacation photos. The math of level 3 is not complicated. It is just slow enough that most people give up before they see it working. $1,000 per month invested at a 7% average annual return the approximate historical return of the S&P 500 after inflation, becomes approximately $120,000 in 7 years, $250,000 in 12 years, $500,000 in 18 years, $1 million in 24 years. The math works. It has always worked. The variable is not the market. The variable is you. The psychological experience at level 3, a quiet, almost unfamiliar sense of security. The job is no longer the lifeline it once was. It is still important, still the primary income source, but it is no longer the only thing standing between you and disaster. This changes how you show up at work, how you negotiate, how you make career decisions. When you have financial security behind you, you negotiate from strength rather than desperation. You ask for the raise. You leave the job that has been slowly destroying you. You take the career risk that level 0, 1, and 2 made impossible. The trap at level 3, complacency disguised as contentment. Level 3 is comfortable. The security is real. The anxiety is largely gone. The investments are growing. Life is good. And the distance between level 3 and genuine financial freedom, the next 3 levels, feels enormous, abstract, aspirational in a way that starts to feel more like fantasy than plan. This is the level where most people stop climbing, not because the ladder ends, but because the next rung feels too far away to reach. It is not. The next rung is closer than it has ever been. Level 4, financial independence. This is the level that changes everything, not improves everything, not makes everything better, changes everything, fundamentally, irreversibly, permanently. Financial independence means your passive income, income generated by your assets without your active labor, covers 100% of your living expenses. Every month, the rent checks, the dividends, the index fund distributions, the interest, the royalties, whatever streams you have built, deposit into your accounts. And that total number is equal to or greater than what it costs you to live your life. You do not need a paycheck. Not because you have saved enough to spend down over decades, but because your money is generating new money faster than you are spending it. The machine is running, indefinitely. This is the definition of the famous 4% rule, the foundational principle of the FIRE movement. If your invested assets total 25 times your annual expenses, you can withdraw 4% per year, adjusted for inflation, and your portfolio will last indefinitely at historical market return rates. Annual expenses of $40,000. You need $1 million invested. Annual expenses of $60,000, $1.5 million. Annual expenses of $80,000, $2 million. These are not fantasy numbers. They are math, achievable, specific, plannable math. What life actually looks like at level 4, the alarm clock becomes optional, not metaphorically, literally. You can choose to work or not work on any given day based entirely on whether you want to, not whether you have to. Many people at level 4 continue to work, not because they must, but because they want to, because they have found work that aligns with their values, their skills, and their sense of purpose. Work, when it is no longer coerced by financial necessity, transforms into something entirely different. It becomes contribution, expression, engagement. The difference between working because you have to and working because you choose to is not subtle. It is one of the most profound quality of life transformations available to a human being. The relationship with time transforms completely at level 4. Time is no longer the thing you trade for money. It is the thing you protect, allocate, and invest in experiences, relationships, health, and meaning. The most common description from people who have reached financial independence is not that they feel rich. It is that they feel free. And that freedom, from obligation, from financial fear, from the necessity of compliance, is worth more than any specific dollar amount. What level 4 requires? A savings rate that most people are unwilling to maintain. The FIRE community targets savings rates between 30 and 70% of after-tax income. At a 50% savings rate, you can reach financial independence in approximately 17 years from any starting point, regardless of your income level. At a 70% savings rate, aggressive, demanding, requiring genuine lifestyle sacrifice, that timeline compresses to approximately 8 to 10 years. The math does not care about your income. It cares about your gap. The bigger the gap between earning and spending, the faster the machine gets built. The trap at level 4, 1 more year syndrome. You reach the number. The math says you are free, and then the fear arrives. What if the market crashes? What if inflation spikes? What if I need more than I planned? What if I am wrong about the 4% rule? The trap is not financial, it is psychological. It is the difficulty of trusting a system enough to stop feeding it and start living from it. Level 5, financial freedom. Level 4 means you are free from financial necessity. Level 5 means you are free to build the life you actually want. There is a difference, and it matters. At level 4, your passive income covers your living expenses. At level 5, your passive income covers your living expenses, plus your dreams. The sabbatical in Portugal, the passion project that generates no income, the private school for your children, the parents you want to support, the causes you want to fund, the experiences, travel, adventure, beauty, learning, that make a human life feel fully lived rather than merely survived. Level 5 requires a larger number, not dramatically larger, but meaningfully larger. Typically between 1.5 and 3 times the assets required for level 4, depending on your lifestyle vision and your aspirations. What it buys you is not more security. You already have that. What it buys you is permission. Full, unqualified, mathematically supported permission to live completely on your own terms. The construction of level 5. Multiple passive income streams, not one. This is the critical distinction between level 4 and level 5. At level 4, you may have one primary passive income source, typically an index fund portfolio that covers your basic needs. At level 5, you have diversified your passive income the same way a sophisticated investor diversifies their portfolio. Dividend-paying stocks that deposit cash into your account quarterly. Rental properties that generate monthly cash flow after all expenses. A digital product, a course, a book, a software tool that sells while you sleep. Bond interest. Business ownership with a management team that runs operations. Royalties. No single stream is large enough to threaten you if it contracts. No single market condition can wipe out your income. The machine has redundancy built in. The lifestyle at level 5. You wake up with a schedule that you designed, not one that was handed to you by an employer, a commute, or a financial obligation. A schedule built around your energy, your values, your relationships, and your vision for what a good day looks like. You give generously, not performatively, genuinely. Because for the first time, generosity does not come at the cost of your own security. You can fund the causes that matter to you. You can help the people in your life who are still climbing the ladder. You can use financial resources as a tool for impact rather than just survival. The structure of deploying capital for social impact rather than personal consumption. Some people invest in other people. Angel investing. Funding the next generation of entrepreneurs who remind them of themselves 20 years earlier. Providing the capital access that they wish they had when they were climbing. The trap at level 6. Identity loss. When money is no longer a challenge, when security is absolute, when lifestyle is unconstrained, many people experience a profound sense of purposelessness. The drive that built the wealth was fueled, at least partially, by necessity. Remove the necessity, and the drive can falter. The people who thrive at level 6 are the ones who built an identity around building, creating, contributing, and connecting, not around money itself. The ones who built an identity around money find that having everything they wanted leaves them surprisingly empty. Level 7. Financial legacy. Level 7 is not about you anymore. It was never entirely about you. But at every level below this one, the primary beneficiary of the financial work was you. Your security, your freedom, your lifestyle, your options. At level 7, the work has transcended you. The wealth you have built will outlive you. The systems you have created will continue generating, compounding, and impacting long after you are gone. This is financial legacy, not generational wealth in the simple sense of leaving money to your children. Legacy is more deliberate, more structured, and more intentional than that. Legacy means the financial and institutional infrastructure you build ensures that your values, your impact, and your resources continue to operate in the world on a timeline that extends beyond your lifetime. What legacy architecture looks like: a family trust that provides for your children and grandchildren while instilling the financial education, values, and stewardship skills required to manage it responsibly. Not a blank check. A structured system designed to multiply rather than consume. A charitable foundation with a defined mission, professional management, and an endowment large enough to fund that mission in perpetuity. A structure that does not depend on any individual's continued involvement to continue doing meaningful work. Business interests that have been professionalized with management, governance structures, and succession planning, so that the enterprises you built continue to create value and employment long after your direct involvement ends. Intellectual property, books, systems, frameworks, educational content. The ideas you developed and documented that continue to teach, inspire, and guide people who will never meet you. The most important truth about Level 7. You cannot buy your way here, not with any amount of money. Level 7 is not a financial achievement. It is a character achievement expressed through financial vehicles. The structure of deploying capital for social impact rather than personal consumption. Some people invest in other people. Angel investing, funding the next generation of entrepreneurs who remind them of themselves 20 years earlier, providing the capital access that they wish they had when they were climbing. The trap at Level 6, identity loss. When money is no longer a challenge, when security is absolute, when lifestyle is unconstrained, many people experience a profound sense of purposelessness. The drive that built the wealth was fueled, at least partially, by necessity. Remove the necessity, and the drive can falter. The people who thrive at Level 6 are the ones who built an identity around building, creating, contributing, and connecting, not around money itself. The ones who built an identity around money find that having everything they wanted leaves them surprisingly empty. Level 7, financial legacy. Level 7 is not about you anymore. It was never entirely about you. But at every level below this one, the primary beneficiary of the financial work was you. Your security, your freedom, your lifestyle, your options. At Level 7, the work has transcended you. The wealth you have built will outlive you. The systems you have created will continue generating, compounding, and impacting long after you are gone. This is financial legacy, not generational wealth in the simple sense of leaving money to your children. Legacy is more deliberate, more structured, and more intentional than that. Legacy means the financial and institutional infrastructure you build ensures that your values, your impact, and your resources continue to operate in the world on a timeline that extends beyond your lifetime. What legacy architecture looks like: a family trust that provides for your children and grandchildren while instilling the financial education, values, and stewardship skills required to manage it responsibly. Not a blank check. A structured system designed to multiply rather than consume. A charitable foundation with a defined mission, professional management, and an endowment large enough to fund that mission in perpetuity. A structure that does not depend on any individual's continued involvement to continue doing meaningful work. Business interests that have been professionalized with management, governance structures, and succession planning, so that the enterprises you built continue to create value and employment long after your direct involvement ends. Intellectual property, books, systems, frameworks, educational content. The ideas you developed and documented that continue to teach, inspire, and guide people who will never meet you. The most important truth about Level 7. You cannot buy your way here, not with any amount of money. Level 7 is not a financial achievement. It is a character achievement expressed through financial vehicles. The people who reach genuine legacy, whose names and works and impact persist, are not the ones who accumulated the most. They are the ones who were most intentional about what they were building and why. Who asked the hard questions early enough to let the answers shape their decisions. Who understood that money, at its highest expression, is not a scoreboard. It is a tool for extending human impact beyond the natural limits of a single life. The question that Level 7 asks of every person who approaches it: what do you want to be true about the world after you are gone? Not what do you want people to say about you? Not what do you want your net worth to be? Not what legacy do you want to leave? That framing is still too self-centered. What do you want to be true about the world? About the people in it? About the conditions that future generations will inherit? Answer that question clearly enough and specifically enough, and Level 7 will show you exactly how to use everything you have built to make it real. Call to action. 7 levels. From financial imprisonment to financial legacy. From the paycheck that disappears before it arrives to the assets that generate wealth while you sleep, while you travel, while you spend time with the people you love, while you pursue the work that actually matters to you. Here is the only question that matters after watching this video. Which level are you on right now? Not the level you wish you were on. Not the level you tell people you are on. The actual, honest, current level. And here is the follow-up question that this video was really always building toward. What is the single next step, not the whole staircase, just the next step, that moves you from your current level to the one above it? Because the distance between level 0 and level 7 is not traveled in one decision. It is traveled in thousands of small decisions, made consistently, over years and decades, by people who understood that the ladder exists, and refuse to accept their current rung as a permanent address. The ladder is real. The math works. The only variable, the only one that has ever mattered, is whether you decide to climb. Your move,